Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network.
Hey, welcome to Geek Fruit Retcon, where we travel back in time to a previous episode from our inglorious history on the Geek Fruit Podcast. Happy listening, you nerds.
Hi and welcome to the Geek Fruit Podcast. You're listening to me, Tejas, and Jishnu is here. Hi, Jishnu.
Greetings.
What's up? Yeah, nice, quick,
Yeah?
simple. Greetings.
On it.
It's quite a science fiction thing. Greetings is such a otherworldly
It's
way
also
of
a
saying
Hallmark thing. It's also a Santa Claus thing.
Oh, this is true. Hallmark.
It's
Hallmark.
also a greeting thing.
Hey,
just
so,
to say hello.
So Hallmark did invent greeting cards, right?
Did they?
It was not. It was
Did
like
nobody else write on a piece of
it's
paper
very,
saying, "Hey guy, I like you. Please
it's
look at this card." So whenever you see the words "I like you," you get reminded of the fact that I like you.
Yeah.
Or inversely, I once saw that, or rather, I heard on on another podcast that apparently there used to be anti-greeting cards that was sent out. Like this is like not that long ago. Like
this sounds like something like what cyanide and happiness would do.
It's a very British thing. I think it was like on NPR. I heard this once that apparently like just like a handful of decades ago, so not that long ago. Apparently on Valentine's Day, they would people would send sort of like ill wishes against you. Like
why?
I hope you injure yourself.
This sounds like an
tomorrow.
act by the MNS or something.
By the who?
By the MNS?
Marks and Spencer.
Sure. That's exactly what I was talking about.
They could have started, that way. I don't know Mark or Spencer.
The other thing is that if greeting cards were invented by Hallmark, then it's just like one of those other things where like engagement rings were invented, like the act of proposing was invented by Swarovski. Santa Claus was created by the Coca-Cola company. And other things as such, and that we count as lore and folklore.
Would you say that the polar bear was invented by the Coca-Cola company because that is now the new thing that they have on their cans?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've not seen the new cans. I haven't had the chance to see their cans.
So X-Men, right?
Yeah. X-Men. So we have a great episode coming up. We are talking about X-Men Apocalypse, the third of a trilogy, the sixth of a hexology, or the ninth of a bunch of shit that has been happening over the course of like 20 years now. 16 years.
16, 17, something like that.
Yeah. So before we get into it, I want to get into the act of reading out some mail that we get every week pretty much now from people who listen to Geek Fruit and who are also just, entering the wonderful world of Savan and finding our did you know somebody's listening to our podcast from like I can't remember where.
Well, last week we read out somebody's that was from Canada.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so I just somebody else just kept messaging. I can't remember where that person was from. But I'm going to read out an email that we got from Arnav Sharma, who's from Jammu and Kashmir. And he said, the first thing he was asking, hey, listen, how do I get these premiere tickets? Well, I was like, we first got to buy airline tickets and come to Bombay because that's the only place we have these tickets.
I doubt much is going to be coming to J&K anytime soon. My way of premieres, unfortunately.
Our good friend Krish Makija and Abhimanyu Rathore did see Man of Steel in Jammu, and they were so excited because they were on a trip and they were doing like this show, which I was also doing at the same time, but they were in Jammu.
Was it an old film projection? Was the soundtrack?
And Man of Steel released in the time that they were doing this, and they were like, wow, we gotta watch Man of Steel. So they went to Jammu and they were like sat in the theater and they were like, okay, cool, it's about to start. And then the whole thing was in Hindi. And the only thing that Abhimanyu can remember right now from it is that wow, ye Superman kitna hot hai.
Was that an actual dialogue?
Yeah, it's when what's his name, Commander Locke from The Matrix. Commander Locke, what's his name? The actor's name I can't remember, but he's like a character, and he's there in Dawn of Justice as well, where I'm saying Pepper Potts. No, Lois Lane gives him the thing saying, find out where these bullets were made and all that stuff. That he's a military leader. Anyway, so there's a person who says, "What are you doing, soldier? Why aren't you at your post?" And she's just like, "Oh my god, I just think he's so hot." And then they translated that pretty much word for word In Hindi. Anyway, so that's my contribution for pop culture in Jammu. But let's read out his email. So I think we spoke about maybe a couple of weeks ago about how we thought on May the 4th they were going to announce the title for the next Star Wars film. But they didn't.
They'll probably hold that off for celebration.
Till June. So there are two panels that have been announced. One panel that has been announced so far, and that's the Rogue One panel. And I think Rebels will also be part of that somewhere. But most probably they're going to be dropping the new title of the Star Wars 8. Do you think they would do that actually at this and take away the attention from Rogue One? I don't know.
I don't think so.
When did they released Force Awakens, the title way back.
Yeah, but they didn't have another movie in production.
This is true. This is true. I was waiting for you to say that. So, okay, cool. This is what he said. Hey, I was just thinking about Star Wars titles and how they're given. Phantom Menace, he's like, Phantom Menace refers to Palpatine, obviously. Attack of the Clones refers to, attack sequence during the end of the movie. Well, that is... yes, self-explanatory. Revenge of the Sith, this title refers to execution of Order 66. A New Hope, Luke Skywalker. Empire Strikes Back, he says, attack of the Galactic Empire on the Rebel base. Return of the Jedi. We all know the Jedis are dead except for Luke. And he never returned, he was always there. And he says The Force Awakens, the most recent installment. The title is in reference to Rey as she discovers that the Force is strong within her and she's a new hero. Untitled movie. This I'm just going to read out his comments. I haven't read them before, but he's like, probably we know it would revolve around Rey and her parents because her parents are the only one who will be introduced in the movie. Moreover, the title can be in reference to Revenge of Kylo Ren or something else entirely. But for sure, we're going to see Rey team up with Luke to fight the Galactic Empire and train some new Padawans. Spoiler: Luke will die in Episode 8. That's what he says.
Damn, I think he knows something we don't.
Well, I don't know what's happening in Jammu and Kashmir.
I mean, if he's dropping spoilers, I mean, damn.
He's got that. I don't know, man, but that's a popular theory. I mean, a lot of people thought Luke was going to die in Episode 7. He didn't really show up right until the end. So, well, that's his... He didn't... Well, I thought he was going to give us a title, but he didn't do that. So, Arnav, if you're listening, man, give us a title, dude. Like, what do you think? Come on, just give me a guess, man. We've been. I think if we can guess one word.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think we can. Our best bet is to think of the adjectives.
Yeah.
Or the verb.
It'll definitely not be one word.
Will it be a return or so? Like they've used words like attack, return.
Empire Strikes Back.
Is new? No, new is not a verb.
Yes, new the verb.
Hope is a verb.
I'd like to new him.
Strike, yeah.
Well, return. Yes, Jishnu, they're using nouns and adjectives.
Well, they're short and sweet. There's a high real estate on each word in these titles.
There is a verb in it. There's strikes, which is
so the Force is already awakened. So what? So the Force is now getting lunch. It's like it's midday. It's noon. The Force is having a nooner. The Force is going to enjoy itself.
The Empire has a siesta.
The Empire, wait, what are they called now? They're called the
they're called the Resistance are the good guys, the Empire, and the First Order.
The First Order,
which makes perfect sense for lunch.
The First Order, the second course. so, I don't know.
Okay, cool. Anyway, so if you guys have any ideas about the title, please let us know. Actually, we're going to have a public bet. Let's make a poll on the Twitter page or on the page itself.
Oh yeah, because we can do that now.
Yeah, and let's see if we can get one word.
Yeah.
That would be quite impressive.
Okay, let's make it easier.
Yeah, okay.
Let's have two polls. One is for the verb of choice, which is, I think, pretty hard because there are a lot of verbs.
We'll
but I think the other one is, will they use the article? What article? Will it be a the? Will it be an a? Will it be a they?
An?
Will there be an and?
And, ooh.
Because there could be two things happening.
Yeah, and
there's Luke and Rey.
And that they're in that space because Disney's doing like
crossovers.
Ant-Man and the Wasp is what I was going to say. They're using conjunctions. So
is that what a conjunction is?
A conjunction is a word that joins two sentences.
That she would hate me.
I just said a conjunction is a word that joins two sentences. Okay, anyway, so we're going to put out a poll. Just check it out online, guys. Okay, cool. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit. Any other kind of major news that has dropped that we should probably talk about before we talk about Apocalypse?
Well, I want to bring this up at a future episode once we have a bit more. But I mean, there's been a whole bunch of cancellations on the Marvel TV universe.
True.
A lot of cancellations.
Yeah, poor Agent Carter has.
I signed. I digitally signed. Have you seen this petition?
I haven't seen. I've signed many in the past, but to no avail.
Right, exactly. And so I did it half-heartedly. But
it's more for the comfort of your soul.
It really is. It just makes me feel good that I've tried something.
That's true.
Minimal amount of effort, 5 seconds of commitment to this. But why not? There's nothing to lose. It's a petition on change.org for Agent Carter.
Change.org. Then it's serious.
Then it's an ORG.
Yeah.
You could say it's OG, but no, there's an R in it. So
Yeah, it's more
can't say
orgy
that.
than OG. Anyway.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm risque. What? Okay, cool. So anyway,
yeah, it's for Agent Carter to get it back.
Let's get back Agent Carter. I think we'll see her in some form or shape. Well, the same shape and form, I hope, because she's
We'll
really...
definitely see more of her in some way or the other. I think they're not stupid. Like, cancelling the show,
having said that,
fine,
though, they're not stupid,
but I don't think they would get rid of her completely.
A lot of Agent Carter already, as in like we've already seen her in 2 seasons of a show. We've already seen her in multiple movies. So I think the only other place, I'm telling you, and I've said this before, Jishnu, the one place that we would be able to see a lot of really great stuff is a Black Widow prequel spin-off, like prequel sequel-ish spin-off, where we could see Black Widow, Winter Soldier, Hawkeye, and Agent Carter, and maybe even Dominic Cooper as Howard Stark. That would be really cool to see all of those characters. Maybe young Black Widow.
So yeah, you'd need to see kids playing, or like teenagers playing. Them.
It
would but then you fall into this trap that X-Men, see the segue, have fallen into, where in which you're playing, you have newer actors who are young. You have your Sansa Stark playing your,
Jean Grey.
Jean Greys, things like that. So like, somebody's going to have to step into ScarJo's shoes and Hawkeye's shoes and be equally quippy and witty with all that stuff. And so, I mean...
Let's see. They're not the funniest characters by any means, but...
but I feel like this is where things can go tits up pretty quickly, because I like that.
That's true, yeah.
Because, because you'd have to treat these characters as their younger, more immature selves, sort of trying to find their feet and whatnot. And the temptation, I feel like, would be to sort of be a bit more snarky at it and whatnot. I mean, Hawkeye is very snarky, but
he's good. He's great.
He's easily the most grounded person now. He's the most mature. He's the only adult really in this entire thing.
He's the only adult. It's great. I love him.
But yeah, he's got a mouth.
Yeah, he's also a merc with a mouth technically.
There we go.
Not just Deadpool.
All those crossovers.
All those crossovers and all those segues, and for not, because we're going to take a short break.
Yeah, can we take that break now?
And we will be back with X-Men Apocalypse.
Did you know that some termites in Africa have a pleasantly minty flavor?
Did you know that India's largest music festival was in a way conceptualized in Estonia?
Did you know that the awesomest chips in the world are found only inside US prisons?
Hello, I'm Chuck.
I'm Srikit.
And I'm Naren.
And together we are
Simplified,
a podcast that helps you appear smarter to an audience that knows no different.
Or give you some stuff to talk about at parties.
We are ultra crepidarians.
And if you don't know what that means,
then tune into Simplified with a B on iTunes, Audioboom, or your favorite podcasting app. Episodes out every fortnight.
And we're back with the Geek Fruit podcast.
We're still here.
Yeah.
We're never back.
We're back, like as in
still here.
Yeah, as in the listener has gone and come back, and we're still here. And when I say and we're back, I mean that together as a community, we're all back together, just like X-Men. They're back after 10 years.
Hey, if I talk at this volume, would it be annoying to the listeners, or like would it be like, pull them in because
there's a villain who speaks like that, isn't there?
The mumbler?
The mumbler. No, I don't know. I can't remember. So I'm thinking Powerpuff Girls.
Mumblebee.
Stop. Though Transformers is back, and they have a new have a new title.
What's it called? Last Night.
The Last Night with a K in front of the word night, which is also has a K in it. So not double K. It's not Krish, but K Night, as in night. Knight. Yeah, it's like the currency in Harry Potter. Knuts. They're not nuts, they're knuts.
But have you heard about the theory that this new one might...
Wait, are we talking Transformers or Harry Potter?
Pick one.
No, Transformers.
Yeah. Have you heard the theory that it might be crossing over now with a bunch of Hasbro toys?
So they're building the Hasbro universe. Yeah.
There's one I'm in particular super excited about, which I feel like is... I really don't know how I even came across this show. It's called Mask.
Yeah.
I brought this up in like M-A-S-K.
Oh.
I forgot Mobile something strike. I don't know other words. And I honestly have no idea how this came up. I brought this up in an earlier episode, one of the very first ones, when we were talking about theme songs, and I still will stand by. I think that this is one of the best 80s theme songs. It's in that, similar to the X-Men theme song. It's in that space, over the top, sort of, massive guitars and kind of things like that. But it's basically, it is Transformers. But it's dudes that put on helmets.
Yeah, most of them were just like Transformer-esque.
Yeah. Because they were shows that were made to sell toys.
Yeah.
That was the sole purpose of at least Mask, definitely. It didn't have a very long run. So I'm very excited for this show to potentially be coming to the screen. But then again, it was a pretty crummy show, so like
that's
why
fine.
it died. So I mean, like it's
not like the Transformers movies have been like
right. So
like
I think
Oscar-worthy.
the only way this can work is if this whole crossover thing happens with all these different toy lines that are coming together potentially. Is if they don't try to make it good, quote unquote. If they just sort of piss into the wind and it's like we're not going to falsely advertise this as anything with real grit or like
depth.
any depth to it.
Yeah.
This is
Good
purely
action.
for action and just silliness, and that's, I think, the only way forward.
Fair enough, yeah.
If these guys can do. Who are the other ones that are involved with
I
this thing?
have no idea. But
It's a
G.I.
handful.
Joe Hasbro?
yeah. Isn't it? Aren't they?
I think so. I
think-
want to say yes.
Anyway.
We'll
yeah.
check up about
it's
it.
3 or 4 of these other guys.
Other great theme song, which is I feel completely underrated. Justice League Unlimited.
Oh, yeah?
Great theme song. It sounds like a Foo Fighters track. Yeah, it's really good. Okay, coming back. X-Men Apocalypse. Let's actually talk about this movie now. Coming into it, I think both of us did our fair bit of homework, and we saw First Class and Days of Future Past before we went in for this film. Now, as you know, I love First Class, and so do you. And I don't know if we differ in opinion about Days of Future Past. Did you like Days of Future Past?
Yeah, we differ a little bit. I mean, I don't love it. I know that you really don't like it,
Yeah, I
and
don't like it.
I like it just fine.
Okay.
I liked it. I mean, obviously we'll get into it more. I liked it about as much as I liked this one.
This is a fair estimate, I think. I think Days of Future Past just annoyed me about a bunch of things, including X-Men powers. Like the whole thing of setting up Shadowcat as, this person who's got this intangibility power. And you've set her up like in a couple of movies before this. And then you come and say, oh yeah, she also has this weird power of putting your consciousness back in time.
Yeah.
A, what does that mean? B, that's not a power that she has, and I think it's like a great disservice to any of the fans of the original comic, because Shadowcat is originally the one who goes back into the past and, whatever, corrects the timeline, etc., etc. It was really, it bothered me a lot. It bothered me a lot how Magneto is able to control these Sentinels without any real engineering degree that we know of. It was really, it was bad. There were a lot of things that I did not like about it. Cool. A big part of it, which I did not like, was Jennifer Lawrence and how she suddenly become the central figure.
We agree on this.
Yes.
Very much
so, and it's just because, she became famous at the right time, and, they said, let's make some money off J-Law.
Yeah.
Because Hunger Games are
speaking
over.
of J-Law, so I mean, one thing that I did not like about this movie, about Apocalypse.
J-Law?
Yeah, well, is because I completely am sold on Mystique being such a central figure to this particular storyline.
Yeah.
And how she is a big pivoting point for a lot of different things.
Okay.
Because of her power being so unique and the ability that she has.
Yeah, I was talking about Days of Future Past.
I'm talking about the whole trilogy. The whole First Class, Future Past, Apocalypse thing. Mystique is a very central...
Central, yes.
Right? And I completely agree with that. And in this one, in Apocalypse, she is very much a mentor to the new guys, the new kids that are coming up.
Yeah.
They're like, they flat out say it at some point. I think Hank says it to Mystique as all the kids are staring at her when she goes full blue for the first time out in the open, and there's like 50 kids once the mansion is destroyed. They're all staring at her, and she's sort of confused, and at which point Hank goes, they look up to you.
Yeah,
and they're proud that you are proud of yourself and you're willing to be blue out in the open and not hiding out in public. And I was like, that's great.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think Jennifer Lawrence has the gravitas to carry that out.
I agree.
I love McAvoy. I love Fassbender. They do a great job
They
of
are excellent
keeping
mentors,
those roles as epic as they need to be.
Rocksteady, yeah.
Even
those
in
guys.
their young age, they still have that brevity to them. But
They're like
Jennifer Lawrence,
thespians.
they very much are. They literally are.
Is it just because they're British, though?
It might well be.
It just is that, isn't it?
They've gone so far as to they were in the West End doing Shakespeare.
Yeah,
they are Shakespeare.
Tell me if Haley Atwell was Mystique, we wouldn't be like, whoa, Mystique is amazing.
This is true.
But I don't know what it is about that. Jennifer Lawrence has that very casual throwaway kind of attitude.
She does.
That American. So I mean, and not to say that that's an American trait. I mean, it's just we have people like Chris Evans who are super rock solid again, who are great defining characters, and they can bear the weight of that role.
Yeah.
You're right in saying that. I think Mystique has. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say she's been miscast. I think all the troubled parts of her life are well portrayed in a few portions. I don't agree with the fact that they've given us so much of a critical role, especially in Days of Future Past, where her mutation is the one that creates these Sentinels. But
you're saying you don't agree with the character, or
I don't agree with her being the pivotal element in that
so
story.
you don't like how it's written then, for Mystique to be the main glue.
I didn't.
Cool.
I was okay with that. I mean, like, the whole story kind of revolves around that. Pretty much.
And I think that's where my trouble lies too. That's why we agree in some point. In that, I think if it was given to a better actor who could handle that, then I think it would have gone down easier.
And she, and I'm not even saying Jennifer Lawrence is bad. She's a good actress. I mean, I love Silver Linings, and I love like her stuff in like the Hunger Games. I think she really works in the Hunger Games, which is a series that I really like. But I think in this movie that I think it's just, I think it was miscast probably. With Jennifer Lawrence.
That's my call. Yeah.
So coming back. X-Men Apocalypse. Before we get into X-Men Apocalypse, we have this whole thing of this timeline to settle. So now in the movies, and now it has just dawned upon me. I don't know why this is coming so late, but this isn't entirely. This is the Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith prequel trilogy of the X-Men. So and you know, my thing was that I really want to see the X-Men be X-Men, right? But the thing is that
I don't know what that means.
As in, like, I want them to be a team and go and fight missions. Like, you know, that's what I really love about Flash, is that, you know, we didn't waste like time getting into a complex origin, and the whole story of the first season becomes the origin, and then he's a Flash in like 3 episodes, and boom, he does Flash stuff. And then he's learning to do more Flash things and taking on Flash baddies and stuff like that. Yeah. So similarly, I was always waiting for an X-Men movie for that, but I guess we got it in the first 3 movies of the X-Men, as they were all X-Men. And now this is
they felt episodic in that way.
Yeah, and and there were teams, and they, you know, set these teams out to go and recover people and things like that. And I kept thinking, man, I wish that X-Men team, I could see it again. But like, I just realized now that, this is a proper prequel trilogy, and now at the end of this movie, Apocalypse, they are finally the X-Men, and it like kind of bothered me a bit. But I was like, wow, it's taken another 3 movies for us to do that, but at the same time, you know, and this I might just, you know, contradict myself, but like, I think X-Men has always been like a weirder world. You know, it's like it's not a typical superhero film by any means. I never thought the structure of the X-Men films were really like superhero-esque in that sense. They're not heroes, they're just like they're oppressed people. And I love that about the X-Men. And the way this movie kind of ends is like them becoming a team and becoming heroes and stuff like that. But I mean, I actually do enjoy the story aspect of, like, you know, how it was set in the 60s in the original, in the First Class one. That was greatly planned. 70s in this one, 80s. I like it. It's but I don't know, man. This movie was a bit of a mess. It was a bit of a hot mess for me. I don't know, for Apocalypse.
I agree. I mean, I think that the the X-Men movies are actually more of like a coming of age thing, just a long drawn out coming of age story. It really is, yeah. And in this movie, they've finally come to terms with who they are, as like, it's a thing about self-identity. It's about sort of being okay with yourself and like finding a community of people that are having a tough time dealing with what they are.
Yes.
Because they're afraid of, you know, stigmas and this and that and yada yada, which obviously gets blown up into like literally nuclear proportions of world domination and destruction.
That's the comic book side of it.
That's the comic book side of it. But at the end of the day, it's about just a bunch of, you know, outcasts, and they want to just find a place to belong. And this is finally them sort of saying, we'll make a home for ourselves, we'll protect ourselves if need be, and we will stand proud. And then, of course, you see what happens after that in the first 3 movies.
Yeah, so I love all of that. I've always loved that about X-Men. I mean, like, Ian McKellen himself has always said that the whole reason why he took the role is because it's so similar to what the, like, LGBT community kind of goes through.
Exactly.
And and I believe it. Like, it's great, and I love that. At the same time, like, I mean, it is a comic book movie. There are elements that I want to see happen. And I don't think it's been a very strong point of theirs, but, like, exhibition of powers, like how we've seen it now in Civil War and how it's been done well, I don't think we've ever gotten a really good taste of how the X-Men can operate together and like do really, like, you know, like in the first Avengers movie, I mean, it was not very calculated in the sense where it was not like, it was all just Chitauri everywhere and you're fighting everything. But I've never seen that really cool way the X-Men come together to fight something.
You haven't seen them all morph into the Megazord, essentially. You know
pretty
what I mean?
much. Like, work like a well-oiled unit, you know?
Right.
And that is a big mainstay of the X-Men. Like, I mean, they even had like 4 different teams of X-Men. Like, they have X-Force and Uncanny and all these things. So I really want to see the mutants be like you know, use their power to kind of do that. And obviously the story aspect is way more intriguing. Like, what I love about this movie, so just to preface it, it's been 10 years since Days of Future Past. And the events of what happens in Washington, where she confronts the White House. I mean, she confronts Magneto in front and stops him in front of Nixon. So it's been 10 years since that. They've all gone into hiding. Magneto has gone and raised started a family. I thought that was great.
That was awesome.
That was a great
that was really cool
piece of writing. He's gone. He's gone all underground. He's gone to he's in Poland, I guess.
Yeah.
And.
He went home. He went home to make a home.
Yeah, and he has a family. He has a daughter and a wife, and he's just laying low, man. He almost is I'm a chill dude again.
Yep.
And maybe even when you see Ian McKellen talk about we've all had troubled pasts. Even this is one really big chapter of it. So we see him at that point, and he's got this family and stuff. And then very tragically, and he does it trying to save somebody's life, right? He uses his power, and then trying to save somebody in this factory which he works in, and then the police try and say, "Are you this guy? Are you Magneto?" And he's just okay, you know what? Just take me, don't leave my family. And then by accident, so his daughter has some powers, and she kind of in very similar to his own story, where and that was a great line. It's no one's ever going to take me away from you. And I was just oh, that's great. And I didn't think it was going to happen immediately, and it does. And obviously, they both die pretty strangely, though.
They both who? Wife and daughter?
Yeah.
What do you mean? They both what was strange about it?
One arrow to take them both out.
Yeah. I mean, because she's a kid. I mean, I feel like an arrow will impale a kid completely. She's
not what I thought we'd be talking about.
She's a tiny little person.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't take much to, pierce her entire body and go into
oh my God.
her mother's embrace and pierce her heart too.
It was tragic. And it was not terribly done.
I think as far as gratuitous violence is concerned, that is actually a great moment to play that card, because these movies have been fairly PG for the most part, and they don't really show much, grit with death. Yeah. And and they didn't show any blood. They didn't show anything.
It was just muted
just
death.
Seeing a mother and daughter in an embrace. And that is when they die, while still in an embrace.
Quite graphic, yeah.
That's pretty graphic.
Yeah.
Yet it wasn't,
It wasn't gory, yeah.
It wasn't gory in the slightest.
Yeah, that's true.
So I say kudos to that sort of choreographed moment of
and that's an
seeing
excellent
that play
scene,
out
right? And they approach him without guns, and then he just uses the same necklace to kind of...
Yeah, that's great.
It's great. So I think that was... so this is my problem with this movie. A lot of the setup was great. I think until the first half, we were quite enjoying it.
Yeah.
And then... Let's get to... before we get to Apocalypse, everybody else, I think... Charles Xavier, great. James McAvoy, great actor. He's got this whole beat with Moira. He's trying to get back with her. Yeah. It's quite funny and endearing. Cool. It's great. Yeah. Funnily enough, I like the new kids also. I did like three of them. When the three of them are together...
Nightcrawler, Jean Grey, and
Cyclops, yeah. So they're great. I thought they worked really well.
They did work.
They're not as captivating as probably Tom Holland was in Spider-Man. And now I know there's a difference. I know there's a context and everything. And they're different kids, but and they're set in the 80s and stuff like that. But they did light up the screen a lot, and I really enjoyed watching them.
So speaking of these kids in particular, so prior to them teaming up towards the end when they get captured and all that, when they're just hanging out, so I loved what I was really looking forward to. We mentioned this, I think, on a previous episode. Yeah. We talked about Dazzler.
Yeah,
and there were set photos of Cyclops and Jean Grey at a record store holding up a Dazzler
I think that was supposed
vinyl.
to be in this movie, right?
Yeah, so there was a lot of stuff that got cut, which I was really disappointed by.
But I'm not surprised by. They've always cut. Yeah.
So it was, and the thing is, it was all, as best I can gather from just one night's worth of looking up this stuff after having seen it just last night.
Right.
From what I gather, a lot of the stuff that was cut revolving around these kids was when Cyclops first comes to the school and he meets Jubilee and Jean Grey and all these kids, and was and he tells Nightcrawler, "Oh, welcome to America. Let's go to a mall."
Yeah.
And so it was going to be a whole, I assume, a montage
I thought it was a great montage. Yeah.
So we had a great moment with the Return of the Jedi nod. That was cute. That was cool. But I was looking forward to them hanging out at the mall and literally just being Colby
kids.
Smulders from the 80s.
Exactly.
In I Met Your Mother. I was looking forward to that. I was looking forward to seeing.
He even says, "Let's go to the mall."
Yeah. So I've said this many times. I was very excited with clenched fists about Jubilee.
Yeah.
Because I was like, what the hell is Jubilee? So I was actually kind of looking forward to seeing her
be Jubilee
and throw glitter at people in the mall.
It's not glitter. Oh my God. They're psionically enhanced plasmoids. That's what they are.
I just wanted to see them in a ball pit or whatever you would do, as a kid in the 80s? I don't know.
What
it was a
kids
mall.
yeah, but they were
so
not like
they'd do things
babies in the 80s, dude.
Hey,
they were like
would
15,
you pass
16.
up a day
Yeah, that's true. I would
jumping
do it.
around in the ball pit?
I would do it.
Especially if you could like make glitter come out of your hands and be like, it's a ball pit with glitter.
But it's not glitter. A and B. Yes, the ball pit sounds very, very tempting. But still, I just wanna. So I'm a little disappointed we didn't get to see a little bit of that. That would have been great. They did have that little cheeky line saying that they're talking about Return of the Jedi being like
the third movie is the
insult.
worst. Yeah.
Then they were just like the third movie is the worst.
Jedi
Were
is
they
still my
talking
favorite,
about?
Man.
Yeah, I know.
But that's just me. Anyway.
It is just you. Were they talking? There was a nod to X-Men: The Last Stand. I'm sure.
Yeah, because Singer didn't do the third one.
Yeah, it was Brett Ratner, right?
I forget who,
Yeah,
but
it
I
was
know it
Brett
wasn't
Ratner.
Singer. Yeah.
Which is weird, though, that he would, like, diss his own franchise. I mean, like, well, sure, I mean, it was just like a tongue-in-cheek thing. Now that he's got a new successful franchise, he wouldn't have to think much about it. But, like, I did like those kids. I thought they were really great.
Yeah.
The Sansa Stark didn't bother me as much as I thought she would.
So, it didn't bother me as much as I thought, but I'll tell you the one thing that did bother me about her...
Is it the ending?
The ending's a whole other thing. We'll get to the ending once we get to
You
Apocalypse.
gotta talk about that ending.
But
that crazy ending.
with what the hell's her name? Sophie Turner.
Sophie Turner,
With
yeah.
her in general. So obviously, Sansa Stark's the big thing that we're always gonna compare her to, and will probably haunt her for the rest of her life, for
Pretty
better
much.
or for worse.
Yeah.
Right? For better or for worse.
Probably for better, because she's in, like,
she's getting more badass this season. So I have high hopes.
She's getting paid like way high.
So in this movie, again, the similarities to Sansa's predicament
Very similar.
was striking, right?
Yeah, of course.
So Sansa, for 5 seasons, coming into the 6th one now as well, she's been on the run, she's been oppressed, she's been put down, she's been in a very weak, submissive position, and really can't do anything. She's helpless, right? So a lot of the time she's just standing there and staring as this horrific thing happens, including being raped, right? Like everything under the sun is happening against her, and she doesn't fight back because she's not stupid. She knows she's not going to win this fight, so she doesn't fight it.
Live to fight another day.
Right? So she's a survivor. Great. Good on her.
She is
in
a
this
survivor.
In this one, again, a lot of times, obviously, since Jean Grey says, she can't control her powers, she's scared of them, as is everybody else. So she, too, is in a position of like, well, I'm waiting for the professor to teach me how to control this. And obviously, at the end, she does sort of control it.
She actually doesn't control it. That's
right. She lets go and she just goes ham on her phoenixing. But I just saw a lot of the same expression on her face. I saw the exact same look of like, I'm Sansa watching a horrific thing happen,
and
I don't know. And
the
she's like,
same actress.
But you know what I mean? Like, it's the same. Maybe it's just
it's the same emotion.
Maybe it's just bad luck. I don't know. But I couldn't help but see the same thing play out. As far as she was concerned, when I see that tight close-up of her just like staring into the darkness, oh my god, my friends are dying, what can I do? I was like, well, you've been here before for like the last 5 years.
Well, live with it. But she gets a comeuppance in this, I guess. It's fine. The other thing is that, I don't think she bothered me as much because I was still busy working on, dealing with Jennifer Lawrence, still being a good person. Why is Mystique a good person? She is a super villain. She is like the 19th best villain rated of all time. And of IGN, I go by
Who is
IGN.
number 16?
Who's number... I don't know.
Well,
She's
19. I mean,
it's Mystique.
Figured you might know 16.
We're talking about Mystique.
Do you know who's number 1?
Yeah, of course.
Who's number 1?
The Joker.
Who's number 7?
I don't know who's number 7, but I can tell you 1, 2, and 3.
Who's number 3?
I think Lex Luthor.
Okay, don't tell me 2. I want to guess.
Go for it.
I won't guess.
You
Let's
won't
just move
guess?
on.
Okay, cool. Come on, it's quite obvious.
That was my phone. That's
it was
embarrassing.
in your answer just now. I mean, in your phone, whatever.
Vader?
Yeah, of course, Vader.
That was easy.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's too easy.
Anyway,
okay, yeah.
so
coming back. I mean, I don't know why Mystique has not been made a villain. Like, it's just that is her role. Why are they changing the roles of these characters? And I really thought because Kurt Wagner, Nightcrawler is going to be in this film. I thought that cool. So now we're going to reveal that she's his mother, and something's gonna happen there because we have seen Azazel already in this series, and she and Azazel kind of get around, and then Nightcrawler's born. So I thought that would be something that they've avoided that. That's fine, but they're still making her an X-Men. She's not an X-Men. In fact, she goes all out and makes her own Brotherhood of Mutants, which is the opposing force to the X-Men. So I don't know why they've stuck with. I know the answers with the fact that she's Jennifer Lawrence, but like just make her a villain. Jesus.
That's why stay tuned for the next movie, I suppose, because that's what else are they going to do?
But I kind of called it though about Weapon X. So we're gonna take a short.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll take a short break,
second.
and we're talking about Weapon X and a guest appearance from one Hugh Jackman.
Hey guys, this is Malika Singhania, co-founder of the blog Stylogram, where we cover trends, fashion forecasts, celebrity style, tips and tricks, and lots more cool stuff. So tune in every Thursday to the Stylogram podcast, your weekly style telegram, giving you the latest fashion and beauty stories that are relevant to you. You can also subscribe to our show on iTunes, SoundCloud, Audio Boom, or any other local podcast app. See you soon.
And we're back with the Geek Food Podcast. We're talking about X-Men Apocalypse. I keep saying Age of Apocalypse because that was the comic book storyline, if I'm not mistaken.
Isn't technically every day the Age of Apocalypse up until his demise, his untimely demise?
Is
right?
Is it a demise though? He is, right? He is. Well,
I hope so.
Okay, cool. We've not even touched upon Apocalypse because literally that's how much we care about it. Yeah. We're going to talk about some of the other characters. Wolverine makes an appearance in this film. I totally forgot we haven't given any spoilers. Spoiler or warning. But I guess if you've heard this far, you're in for it. So
because you've already been spoiled.
You have been spoiled
many a time.
We have spoiled you. So Wolverine is there in this film. I kind of guessed. I was like, we were talking about it before the film. I was like, the only capacity in which he can return in a guest kind of thing is that because we saw Stryker kind of take up his body, which was not Stryker, by the way. It was Mystique, if I remember correctly. Remember?
This is true.
Yeah, it was Mystique. So they've just kind of ignored that little bit. And it's Stryker who is Stryker again. Yeah. And he basically has taken Wolverine into Weapon X, and these guys have also been captured after the X Mansion kind of blows up in the film, to no one's surprise at this point, because that's what it does every movie. And basically, even Deadpool called it, by the way. In the Deadpool movie, he says it's like this place keeps blowing up every 2 years or something. He's just referenced that very, very. But I mean,
point. As you saw at the end, they all have an architectural degree.
They have all architectural degrees. Like when they rebuild the mansion between Magneto and Jean Grey. Jean Grey.
Oh, Jean Grey.
Yeah, Storm would just make a mess. But they're just properly arranging. Yeah, man. It was perfect.
The feng shui in that place is insane. It's impeccable.
Oh my god! And it's facing north. It's Vastu Shastras on crack. Anyway, so anyway, so coming back, so they infiltrate. So these three kids have to infiltrate Weapon X facility, and they find an animal in a cage, and they let him go. And Wolverine is there, dressed in something bizarre. He has this weird.
So that headpiece, which I thought looked exactly like the Oculus Rift, I was like, wow, he's just in a dark room, playing VR games for a while. But,
what did he look like?
Apparently, it's taken from a comic. From an actual series.
Well, it must have been
his Weapon X series. Apparently, that is the cover
to control his mind, I guess.
I looked up a bit of artwork from that series, and it's
verbatim
down to the T. It looked exactly like that.
And that's cool.
So I'm glad, because I was like, you look stupid. I was like, that looks really dumb. Yeah. I'm glad there's some source material so that I can blame somebody, or they can blame somebody else.
But here's the thing, though. We are giving this movie a lot of leeway in terms of design because they're going with, hey, it's the 80s, right? So everyone's got a mullet and everyone's got those jean jackets. And stuff
as they should.
Yeah, and so this seems like a lot very retro-ish in its technology and stuff like that. So that's why it looks kind of goofy, but it works, I guess.
Yeah, fair enough.
And he destroys everybody in a very PG-13 way.
Very PG-13.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed by that.
I mean, I guess
here's the thing, when Wolverine came out, and he goes all berserker on all these people. It felt like, oh, cool, it's awesome to watch Wolverine, but I've seen him do this in many movies, and so really, it was nothing but Bryan Singer saying, "Oh God, we cannot make an X-Men movie without Wolverine. Let's just get him."
True. However, that being said, I was pleased with how they
used him,
and the fact that we see him running off from the wild.
It's a pivotal moment.
I'm glad. It makes complete sense.
It completes a larger story and all that stuff.
So I was happy. End of the day, it was kind of silly and goofy in a few ways, but I was like, you know what? If you had to shoehorn him in, which I understand you kind of needed to because you can't really sell it without him. If you had to shoehorn him in,
this was the perfect
way.
You
handled it pretty damn well.
I agree. I completely agree.
Commendable effort
He was
on that.
he was good, and Hugh Jackman must have just walked in and said, "Okay, what am I doing?
Yeah,
Killing these
pretty
people?
much,
Sure."
pretty much.
And he has this one moment with the young Jean Grey, which
Yeah,
I thought was
yeah.
bizarre, and I pointed that out to you.
Yeah, yeah,
I was like, "Oh, this is weird."
Yeah, this is awkward.
Because he's gonna do her, not
Yeah.
really, but he's gonna fall in love with her at some point. So yeah, that was pretty strange. Yeah, I mean, sure. A lot of
It's
this
like,
mo-
it's
a
like,
lot
all
of
right,
this
that
movie-
happened. The whole movie was just a whole, all right.
Okay,
I
cool.
guess that happened.
Exactly. And let's get to the main title of this
Meat of
film.
the matter.
Apocalypse. Oscar Isaac. Why did you do this film? Is my question.
'Cause-
Why didn't we just get anybody? Like, why are they casting Christopher Eccleston as this guy from Thor 2 in the Dark World, Malekith? Very important character, really good actor, underused or badly used. Oscar Isaac, Apocalypse, badly used. This character, Apocalypse, okay, they start off with this really, which was teased in the ending of the last movie, with the fact that he's Ents of Anur, he's the first mutant ever, so really good origin in that sense that he's the first mutant, and you see him create all these pyramids, and it's great. And he's betrayed by some people, his horsemen try and protect him, but he's buried alive. And very conveniently, I thought my question from before this movie even came out was like, oh cool, I wonder how Apocalypse has chosen this time to kind of resurrect himself.
Right.
How is that going to happen?
Yeah.
And it was just random. It was
Yeah.
completely random. His followers just was like, "What's the 80s?
Yeah.
Oh, we've become better at our jobs. We found
they
him."
tried to save that a little bit towards the end when he said, the difference now is that I have Xavier, and I'm going to use...
Yeah, but he has
Xavier.
nothing to do with the fact that he comes back.
Exactly. So they tried to save it like, hey, this is why I can win this time. Because Xavier was like, listen, guy, you've lost for tens of thousands of years. What's different now? He's like, well, I'm going to use you, bitch.
Well, sorry. Let me come back.
They tried. I'm saying it did not work.
No,
but they tried to.
In what fair enough.
backpedal a little
I'm saying in what I've understood from this film, Apocalypse has only existed once. He was a kid who ruled the Egyptian era, whatever it is, at that point of time. That he ruled civilization. He got trashed by his. They got him drunk and wasted on his bachelor party, and he got buried alive, and he came back. Now this is the first time he's coming back since then. That's it. He's never ever come back before. So he's had
this was the first
one
time, right?
shot. Eminem told him. He has one shot.
true.
Do not miss your chance to blow. Is that the lyrics? By the way,
Yes,
what
that
the hell?
That is the
Jesus,
that is a
Eminem. Christ. Okay.
music, right? Cool.
So yeah, man, I did not understand the fact of why he's come back.
That actually makes a lot of that
Yeah.
makes a lot more sense than what I thought.
Comes back, gets these 4 horsemen way too easily. He recruits them way too easily. Storm is just like, hey, Storm was just talking to him like he was he was her roommate or something. Like he's like, hey, come, you can crash with me.
Yeah, well, I just
Apocalypse
well,
just
I just
coming
drink
in.
this Coca-Cola
Walking.
placed here conveniently. It was-
Apocalypse walking around saying, "Well, what's this poster, man? What's this sick poster you have on your wall? Oh, this is Mystique, man. She's my hero."
She's
It's
my
like,
hero.
Cool.
She won 2 Oscars. She's amazing. We need to give her more money.
She's literally a chameleon in those roles.
Jesus.
But yeah, my point was that Apocalypse coming back seems so nonchalant. Like it was just like,
So I was thinking about this a lot after a lot of the conversation that we've had about Civil War and why we liked it and why some people didn't like it. The big thing that we've liked throughout all these 3 prequels essentially were Fassbender and McAvoy, who are and those characters are at the core of even the original trilogy, right?
Yeah.
It's all about these two
It's
guys.
all about these
It's
two
all about
guys.
these two guys, right?
And
as
their
it should be,
ideologies.
and it's great, and they're brilliant characters, and we love them. So, I think why First Class worked the best of these 3 is because it's so centered just around these guys and it's about their story.
I mean, you had a good point
Now-
yesterday. You said X-Men is Civil War every movie, right? Like pretty much every movie is Civil
every movie's
War.
about
Yeah.
just finding unity within your own group.
Yeah.
But I think Apocalypse. Now, how do I put it? So I don't really know much about X-Men backlore. I didn't really read much of the comics at all growing up. I barely saw a few episodes of things, so I didn't know much about Apocalypse. Only just the little bits that I read up about him prior to seeing it. So I had no personal investment in him. But obviously, I got. Clearly, Apocalypse is the guy.
He is the guy.
Thanos
We
of-
have been waiting for a
right?
long time
Apocalypse
for
is the
Apocalypse,
Thanos
yes.
of their universe, or something close enough at least. So what I'm getting at is, I think that he was wasted on this film because this story is still about Magneto and Xavier, and he just seemed like an incidental bad guy.
He was incidental. He was so incidental.
So,
yes, very true.
Much like how Zemo, was used as a third party, sort of like he was a necessary evil in that film, because if the bad guy was too big, like how Apocalypse is just larger than life, then he distracts from the main story.
I agree
so
completely.
that is, I think, why the first half of the movie we liked a lot more than the second half, because the first half was, again, about Eric's thing and like his family, Xavier trying to get his stuff together, meeting Moira again, and like just having that stuff. Once Apocalypse came into the picture, then he just overtook everything, and we're like, we don't care about you.
We don't really care.
They kept telling us he is bigger than life itself. He is this. We're like, yeah, but
he's a real
you've given
threat.
me no reason to believe you.
Yeah, here's the other thing. What does Apocalypse do in this movie?
What do you mean?
What is the thing that he does? This is my question after watching the movie yesterday. I was just like, what did Apocalypse do that made him seem like such a threat?
All right.
Because everything else is done by Magneto and is done by his horsemen, and he's just chilling out. Just chilling.
His sand magic is
that's
about all he does.
That's it.
He has sand magic, and he's got like impenetrable armor.
Sure, I think that's
about it.
Okay, so let me put it this way: in the comics and mostly the cartoons is where I got most of my X-Men, introduction and everything like that. Apocalypse is scary. Like you actually are threatened by him because he can change his size to anything. He's kind of like Vision in the sense that he can make himself so dense. Yeah. Like he can change his entire density to make himself like impenetrable.
Yeah.
He's a real source of energy and power.
Yeah.
And in the cartoons, he kills all the X-Men. He kills all of them, and that's how they start off Days of Future Past, saying that Cable is in the future and he's watching this entire thing on this cube that is giving him the history of the universe and the history of Earth, and he sees whatever happened to the X-Men, how did they all die, and how did my father die and my mother, and he finds out this is Apocalypse's work. He's just erased the X-Men because he's so powerful. So he always knew that Apocalypse is this real menace, and he's a real force to reckon with, and quite literally. And so I was really looking forward to the fact, I think there was one moment from the trailer where we see him increase his size, which then we find out in the movie is in the astral plane.
Disappointed how that was.
Yeah, but change his size, and I thought, wow, that's going to be insane. I thought the X-Men are going to come together to fight him in a very cool way. And I think this whole 4 horsemen, him getting these 4 people, I think could have been avoided, dude. He didn't need it.
Because technically they did. I mean, you did see the team up happen.
Yeah.
And you saw Magneto and Storm turn on him. You saw Psylocke run away like a little wimpy.
Yeah. But that's
but again, it had no impact. It was like, okay, cool.
I didn't feel any emotional
that's about
thing.
So with, like you mentioned, with him getting larger than life and growing, 10 sizes or whatever. Again, I feel like the fact that it happened in this sort of
the astral plane.
Head space.
No, the astral plane. The astral plane is so important in the X-Men.
The fact that it happened there and not
in real life.
In reality, it diminished his...
It diminished it. I agree.
His scope. I was like, Ant-Man can do that. We've seen that happen. I was like, why can't this guy?
This is true, yeah. And while I still liked... I wish they made the astral plane like how the astral plane is in the comics. It's like this road. You know who's doing it really well? Doctor Strange. In that one moment where Tilda Swinton kind of pushes his astral, projection into the plane. That was really cool because that looks exactly like the comic books. And I was just like, wow, I'd really like to see Xavier be in the astral plane because he goes there all the time. He chills out all the time over there. Yeah. And I really wanted to see that done well. And the fact that they went there was really cool. I didn't think they addressed it by any means. They didn't say that this is what's happening, but they were just Mind Palace,
basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Basically.
But yeah, man, the astral plane is amazing, and a big part of the comics didn't do it any justice in this film, I feel. And I feel like everybody had a moment, Quicksilver is just I'm going to be Quicksilver. Yeah. And then suddenly, Xavier's I'm going to take you down. And then when Xavier fails, it's like, Jean Grey, you're going to be the one who takes him down. And I was just like, wow, Jean Grey is so young. How do you have the Phoenix Force so well controlled already that you couldn't do in the beautiful Famke Janssen in X-Men The Last Stand? And I was just like, yeah, you lost your, brains, at that point of time. But you're doing it as a kid. How does that make sense in your own story that you've been building all this time? It felt too easy. This villain was not good. I didn't like it, man. Just know I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, like I said, I enjoyed it just as much as I liked Future Past.
I enjoyed it literally it's like leave your brains at home, go watch a big spectacle
Pretty
on
much.
screen. And even then it was just it still bothered me so much that Apocalypse was just a letdown completely. Oscar Isaac, for shame. And And it's funny because if you take Apocalypse out of this film, and there's some really great moments.
That's what I mean.
You know what?
Some
I really
moments
love.
were great, but that's only some. It's not enough.
Yeah, there was that whole little thing with Caliban, the mutant broker, and I thought that was great because
That was cool, yeah.
it was a
I liked
really
it.
X-Men thing, like such an X-Men-ish thing to have a mutant broker, and it felt really like comic booky, that
It did, yeah.
he's the one providing people with mutants if you need it and stuff. I thought that was great, and then they just Apocalypse just being Apocalypse.
Yeah, his limitations were very sporadically chosen. He's this all-powerful, all-knowing being, but he needs to go to another guy to tell him where these people are.
Yeah,
he can tap into Cerebro sometimes, but then how much of that information does he retain? How much does he It's
very true.
It's very
true.
it's very all over the place. With
it was a hot mess, man. His whole character was a mess.
So I want to come to the post-credit scene and just in general, something about comic book movies that I've thought about a lot. I think I brought this up a few times, but now in particular, especially with how this one played out, something that was really pressing on my mind the entire time. Obviously, a lot of people who we went to see it with, yourself included, obviously, knows a lot about the X-Men backlore, and I'm in the minority in that I was in the minority in that crew at least, and that I didn't really know very much, but obviously I'm very excited as anybody else is, right? So the thing is that these movies, much like any movie that's adapted from a book, even if you're talking about I don't take any example, Pride and Prejudice, the most
and zombies.
Yeah, I need to see that. I really want to see how that
haven't
played
seen
out.
it yet, yeah.
But if you take any story that's adapted from something else, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, you're going to compare it to the first rendition of it, right?
Fair
so
enough.
what I am looking forward to is if and when we will see a point in which a comic book movie a movie that started as a comic book movie, like everything we're seeing today, when will it get to a point that they create their own
original stuff
down to the T, where in which they're no longer taking anything other than the status quo of the universe. We know the rules of the game, we know the players involved, but now
here's a new character.
So here's a new bad guy. So for example, so now with this end credit scene, we see the Essex Corp and all that.
Yeah.
So clearly it's going to be something about Wolverine and Project X and whatnot, but
So
we don't really know much about...
I do know it. No.
Okay.
I called it yesterday, but I wasn't sure, but...
okay. So what I'm getting at though is Essex Corp it's a deep cut, right? It's not on anybody's. It's not on the front of anybody's mind.
So I'll tell you why it was a seemingly obvious kind of thing. It's like at the end of the last movie when they released Days of Future Past, they had already announced that Apocalypse was going to be the next villain, and that's why we kind of guessed that the post-credit scene was going to be something about Egypt, blah blah blah, and it was En Sabanur. Here they haven't really. Simon Kinberg has teased that the next one will be in the 90s, so there is definitely going to be a next installment, and. The fact that I didn't know if the end credits was going to tease that or it was going to tease the Wolverine movie, but I thought it wasn't going to be the Wolverine movie because that's supposed to be a thing of Old Man Logan, so I think it's going to be set much more in the future. So the fact that they did this SX Corp was his name on this briefcase, I was like, who else is really there? And the only other the villain that is left is Sinister. And which is true because they've taken 4 movies to become the X-Men. There were no more villains left to fight. There's nobody else left. So Essex is Nathaniel Essex, who is Sinister, who is Mr. Sinister. That's his real name. So I didn't know that was his real name until I did a little bit of Googling.
So basically, it's this odd place now where in which these movies have finally got it right. They have the technological capability to execute these kind of movies and of the scale they need and the visual spectacle that they need to bring everything off the page. They can do that. When it just comes down to the physical ability to recreate what you're seeing on a page and bring it to life, they can do that.
Yeah.
So now in terms of story, it's limitless.
It's always been the real
they're choosing to constantly go back and tell you the same story that's been written. Fair enough, because a lot of these stories are great.
But they're not the exact same story.
Exactly.
X-Men has not been
they're
ever...
all adaptations, and they're all, varying, taking a little bit from this one, taking a little bit from that one, and piecing them together.
Yeah.
Now, what I just want to know is, what's going to happen when they run out of stories? Like you're saying, we're running out of villains, right?
Yeah.
So, are they going to just end this cash cow? Because, we want more movies of this kind. Nobody's going to... stop watching it if they run out of villains.
Yeah.
So they're going to eventually have to start creating their own stuff because the books are still being written. Civil War 2 just got released today.
Yeah.
They just released the comic today. So it's inevitable. There will be a Civil War 2 movie vaguely based on this one. But at the same time, they could very well say, maybe we won't make a Civil War 2 movie. Maybe we'll just make another movie that we want to make because we have now built these characters from the ground up ourselves.
You're saying it's going to become like, it's basically what's happening with Game of Thrones, is that
pretty much, yes,
we've
exactly.
run out of book
I'm exactly
material.
talking about Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
The exact same thing. And personally for me, I haven't read the Game of Thrones books, right?
Yeah.
But I kind of love the fact that I definitely will go back and read them, but I love the fact that I'm going to watch this show completely blind, right? And every episode's brand new information to me. And then, I mean, I love it, so I'm optimistic that I will continue to love it.
Right.
Once it's done, I will go back and read a different story completely. So I get
Just
two Game of Thrones.
The
like,
last
why
few
is that
chapters,
not
I think,
better?
will be slightly different. But the fact is that R.R. Martin is still helping with this show. So I think the books are going to lead in roughly a similar direction, if not, because they have a lot of characters that are not included in the in the TV series. But yeah, there's a lot. The general direction will be that. I think the same thing happened with Scott Pilgrim also. I remember the last book hadn't released, and they still went ahead with the movie. And the ending of the movie and the ending of the book are different, but they're kind of ish, like in the same space. But yeah, it just deferred because one was just not out before the next one
Because,
happened.
I mean, do you think that somebody that's writing a comic book right now, based off of any of these movies that have come out, the continuing adventures of pick a superhero, do you think anybody is critiquing their comic book drafts, being like, this isn't true to the original movie? that sentence doesn't get said. But
Well, that's
why
because
not?
comic books have
know?
always had a much wider like imagination. I mean, this was something that was held. Like, I've heard this two arguments of the Civil War movies, that a lot of people didn't like Civil War for many reasons, but one of the main I'd say intellectual reasons was that the Civil War movie is, or the books are about the actual Civil War. It's about the Registration Act and what is the ideological kind of battle between Iron Man and this one. But why the movie is so much better for me is because they made it personal. It's like Winter Soldier is a big part of it.
Yeah.
So there are higher stakes, and suddenly it becomes less about the registration or the Sokovia Accords in the movie, and becomes more about this personal friendship. And I think that's why the movie is so much better. But the comics have always been like wild and like really imaginative about what they can do or what they can't do, and they have like Venom fuses with Scorpion in the Spider-Man comics. It becomes like a weird version of that. It's like they've changed it like a number of times, and they can go in directions that the movies can't be believable in.
Right.
The good thing is that there are only few franchises which have stood the test of time if you look at it. Yeah, sure, we're talking about Game of Thrones, it's wildly successful, but X-Men has been something that's been around since 2000. Marvel's the only person who's doing it right. We don't know if Suicide Squad flops or if Batman should be good, but if Suicide Squad is terrible and if Wonder Woman is average, I don't know if we'll even reach the point where we'll get to see things like Final Crisis or Infinite Crisis or Flashpoint Paradox, but they won't reach the main stories that have been the hallmarks of their entire DC universe. We might not even see like the Green Lantern, the Lantern War or whatever, the Light War of Light or whatever it is there. Yeah. But yeah, man, so I think only few franchises are getting to the point where like, wow, we're doing these movies successfully by kind of taking our inspiration from the comics. Past that, we'll only be able to see it in X-Men and in but we're not going to see it in like, I don't think we'll ever see it in Fantastic Four. We'll never see some of the greatest arcs. We'll never see a Mole Man. We'll never see the leader who was teased in The Incredible Hulk at the end. But we'll never see that happen. It's because these franchises never live up to it because they're not good movies ultimately. Like, they haven't like reached their potential. So yeah, I think it's going to happen for some of them. I think Marvel will definitely go in a way that so what they're doing is like they might even do the whole all new, all different, which is I don't know if you saw the last episode of IGN's The Superhero Show, but they were talking about whether Cap is going to be replaced by the Winter Soldier. And that could very well happen, man, because we don't know how long, Chris Evans is going to be part of it.
Right.
So yeah, man.
End of the day, numbers game, man. I just think there have been a lot more people. There are millions of people, maybe even touching like 500 million people that have seen these movies. I think that number can't compare to or rather, the number of people that have read the comics can't compare.
Of course not. Yeah, it's a bigger medium. Yeah,
it's just that the nerds that have read the books are very, very loud about their opinion, and so they get hurt.
Yeah, it's true. Yes, I mean, ultimately, this is the foundation on which these things have been built, and it's not like we haven't seen the opposite happen, right? Like Harley Quinn and X-23 are characters that came from a television show and then made it into a comic book and then made it into a movie. So I'm sure we will see the opposite happen. Funny thing though, they did that for Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, the terrible Julie Taymor musical, the Broadway musical happened. They invented a character for that called Swiss Miss, who was a living Swiss Army knife, which I believe Daniel Radcliffe is playing now in a movie.
Oh, yes. I've seen that random trailer videos for that.
Yeah. So they have invented, I mean, it's not unheard of, and they will, I guess, continue to do so.
Well, anywho, on the subject of Daniel Radcliffe as a random Swiss Army knife,
yeah,
should we talk about more
some
equally random things?
Cool. Yeah, so we'll just take a short break, and then we're going to come back and talk about random news.
Random news generator.
So, the DC Comics and Renee DeLiz, am I saying that right? I don't know.
No, I don't.
Do you know who she is?
What?
Renee DeLiz. DeLiz. It's a weird name.
Okay.
Anyway. So
yeah, Jishnu Guha is perfectly fine. Okay.
So she's the cartoonist for Wonder Woman. They are writing up a new sequel to The Legend of Wonder Woman. Oh, this is not nearly as exciting as I thought it was. I thought this was like a sequel for the movie, but no, this is just another sequel for the continuing adventures of Wonder Woman. This is really not that exciting at all. I'm going to retract my.
You're not going to talk about that.
I retract. Oh well, I'm not really invested in the Wonder Woman universe. Are you? Do you know much about it? I don't really know anything about it.
I know a little bit about it. Yeah.
So this is it's a continuing adventure further into a man's world. I mean,
what?
This is not that exciting.
Just
like I said,
what news is this?
I told you, I got really excited. I thought,
is this an
it's
animated
a sequel?
series?
No, it's just the comics.
Oh, the comics.
They're just writing
the new series.
Just a new issue of the Wonder Woman series. That's not exciting at all.
So wait, what was the news? What was the headline that drew your attention to this?
That so-and-so from DC Comics is preparing the sequel to The Legend of Wonder Woman. I thought that was for like the movie.
How? The movie's not even out.
I know. That's why I got excited.
Jesus, Jishnu. Okay, cool. I'm going to blow your mind with this amazing piece of news now.
Do it.
Tetris, 80 million movie on the way, trilogy planned.
Please tell me that's real.
I swear to God.
Is that real?
Tetris the movie is fitting itself into your life.
That's amazing. Who is this? Who's doing this?
A Tetris movie adaptation is happening as an 80 million co-production between US and Chinese studios. Once upon a time, Nintendo pursued a lengthy and expensive battle to get the rights to bundle the classic puzzle game Tetris with its then relatively new Nintendo Game Boy machines. Okay, we know the history of that. But right now, they're making a movie, and
who's doing it?
Let me see. Threshold Entertainment and 7 Star Works.
It should be Wes Anderson. Can you imagine that? Because his movies already like play out like Tetris.
Okay, I mean
they're as blocky as a Tetris game.
You're using a metaphor, like a simile.
Metaphor, simile, whatever.
A simile is when you use the word like or as.
Well, it should be like a Wes Anderson
That's
movie.
A simile.
There we go.
It should be like a simile.
Yeah. Touched for the
But it is not a metaphor. Okay, sorry. So yeah, Tetris the movie's coming. What do you think the plot is going to be for that?
Get it in the hole.
It's going to be The Rock or Adam Sandler, one of them.
The Rock.
And The Rock is already working on an adaptation of like Donkey Kong or something like that.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I'm serious.
Damn.
Yeah, no, what?
No, Jumanji.
No, he's doing Jumanji, but he's doing another...
With Jack Black as well now.
And Kevin Hart. And he put out a long, heartfelt message saying that we're going to stay true and respect the spirit of Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Which only The Rock can do. Yeah. Only. But Tetris the
movie...
What
do you think this plot is going to be? Who's the damsel in distress?
I got it. Check it out. The movie is set on an alien world.
Sure.
And this is like the Hunger Games event.
Yes.
And Tetris is basically about it's about basically people have to fight off each other, and they have sorry, contradicting that. It's a construction movie, okay, about real estate agents.
It's a pyramid scheme.
No, it's
the whole thing is about realtors. Not realtors.
It's about real estate agents.
Real estate agents, and they're trying to lure a very unknowing young Tom. What's his
Hardy?
name? No,
Tom Hardy?
The Spider-Man kid.
Holland.
Tom Holland, yeah. They find a very unsuspecting young little Tom Holland kid, and he comes in and he's like, "Hey, Mom, I want to like get involved with these guys because they have this great big plan to build this massive pyramid." And then it.
Do you know what a pyramid scheme is, Jishnu?
No, this is a different kind of. It's
like
a simile.
It's a real pyramid, you mean?
See what I did there? Yeah, because it looks like it's blocks that build a pyramid.
Though X-Men had a lot of Tetris going on in it, by the way. It was with, the pyramids being built and...
a lot of architecture.
A lot of architecture.
They all have degrees in
Tetris
engineering.
could be the real spin-off.
They're all
that
civil
works.
engineers.
Oh man, this ending is a mess. Alright, cool. So, Tetris, the movie coming out, $80 million going to be spent on it. People are dying in Africa. Jesus. You could not make this movie 7-star entertainment and threshold.
Unless it's in 4D. In which case, you are given a block. So you walk into the cinema, you sit down,
and you have
to choose the right time. If you choose the wrong time to throw the block at the screen, the movie fails because it just goes on longer and longer. And then you're stuck there just watching Tetris.
You know what? Now I'm just having this vision of this, the company that makes Jenga was just like, damn it, we were about to make the Jenga movie. And they can't right now because the properties are too similar.
Unless they tie in with Professor Xavier and Jean Grey.
Let's stop this right
and then
here. Let's stop this.
Put those architectural degrees to use, guys. Stop trying to save the world and save our roads. This is starting to sound like a Cyrus Brocha episode.
Oh God. Okay, cool. So that was our episode for today. I hope you guys liked it. And if you have any comments on Tetris, X-Men Apocalypse, or any such thing in between, or similes, mail us at contactgeekfruit@gmail.com. You can go to our website where we have all sorts of nonsense. It's geekfruit.in. We have a thriving editorial section which has some really, really good articles about stuff that you love about the geek world. So go check that out. You can find Jishnu and myself on Twitter. You can find Geekfruit on all social media at GeekfruitHQ. And Jishnu's phone number is...
Wait.
One second. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you right now.
I'm gonna freaking tell you. Just wait.
Jishnu, you're not on my speed dial.
No.
How do you feel about that?
No,
it's 887929634. So there you go. Any and all issues, please direct it towards him. Till then, we will see you next week with more stuff. Stuff on Harrison Ford. We'll talk about Harrison Ford next week.
Because why not?
Yeah, no, definitely. Because he's an important man in the nerd universe.
Because he is.
He's raking in all that nerd money.
Yeah, nerds.
Hey, Jishnu from Geekfruit.
Hey, Tejas from Geekfruit.
Hey, man. So you're a musician.
Hey, so you're a musician too.
I know, and if you're a musician, the person who's listening to us two musicians and also Jishnu and Tejas from Geekfruit, then you should listen to Made in India. If you're a fan of music also, then you should listen to it too. It's with May, independent music for you.
Hey man, just help me out, man. I need some podcasts, man. I haven't had a fix in a week. Just need some.
Don't you worry about it. I got podcasts galore for you, man. Just go to ivmpodcast.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Thanks, man. I'm gonna check it out.